p.m. All trustees are present. So on to public comments on closed session items. At this time, any person may address the board on any closed session item pursuant to the Brown Act. The board cannot consider issues or take actions on requests during this comment period. Time is limited to 3 minutes per person per item, 20 minutes per topic. And based on the lack of anyone in the chairs.
We still have people on
Oh, okay. Well, we are acknowledging those of you online.
Just read through C1, C2, C3.
Okay. So on to closed session item C1, public employee discipline dismissal release. C2, public employee performance evaluation. Superintendent. C3, conference with labor negotiators. And we will open closed session at 4:31. To open session at 6 p.m. Trustee Lopez White will not be with us this evening. If we could all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So on to approval of agenda order. The board reserves the right to change the order in which agenda items are discussed and are acted upon at this meeting. Subject to further action by the board, the agenda for this meeting is to be approved as presented. Items may be added to this agenda discussion or action only as permitted by the Brown Act. And this is where, correct? We are going to be tabling agenda item S7, consideration and possible approval of resolution 225-23 in matter of granting an easement to Serralo Trust pursuant to Education Code 17386, and due to the fact that the grant deed was not received in enough time.
Move to approve the agenda with the correction.
Okay, I have a motion by Trustee Garrison. Do I have a second?
I'll second that motion.
Okay, Trustee Ogamian. We do not have preferential. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? And then absent, we have Trustee White. Okay, now moving on to G, public comment on consent and non-agenda items. The public may address the board on any consent or non-agenda item pursuant to the Brown Act. During this period, the board cannot consider issues or take action on any item not listed on the agenda. Time is limited to 3 minutes per person per item, 20 minutes per topic. Do we have any public comment on consent and non-agenda items? If you would step to the podium and then please let us know your name.
Hello, my name is Shauna Majerus. Can I start?
Oh, yes.
My name is Shauna Majerus. I'm a neighbor to the school, and we have an issue that we continue to bring to the administration, and so I'd like to bring it up here. First of all, I want to recognize my support and all the neighbors' support of the agriculture program, and it has nothing to do with whether or not we want that program to exist. It is the placement of the livestock next to residential homes that I would like to bring up. So the core issues is that the farm is 5 feet from residential property lines, a distance that would not be allowed in any other setting or normal zoning or nuisance laws. There's odors from urine, feces, and hay entering homes and making backyards unusable. Loud and unsettling animal noises and human noises, especially early mornings and evenings. Repeated student activity on site, sometimes as late as 10 p.m., sometimes with no adult present. Banging of metal and equipment noise, pollution, and unsanctioned visits, and the animals themselves. Dirt, dust, and animal debris entering pools and living areas. Increased flies and visible rats posing potential health risks. The community impact. Residents no longer enjoy peaceful use of their backyards and homes or open windows. Mental and physical well-being of families that are being affected, and multiple homeowners having reached out and voiced concerns before and after the animals were brought there. History of communication, multiple attempts to work directly with school administrators and agriculture staff. Repeated emails and calls to the principal and district without resolution. In fact, emails to some of you, if you might recall. No proposed plan to relocate the animals or meaningfully mitigate the nuisance. Responses have been minimal, dismissive, or focused on defending the status quo. What we are asking We're asking to relocate the animals to another area on campus that is not adjacent to homes. Maintain the agricultural program in a way that teaches respect for both animals and the community. Commit to a review process with community input. Follow basic zoning principles or best practices for livestock, distances from residences, which according to the city is 300 feet from a residential property line. Consider an opportunity to model civic.
So much. We have to limit it to 3 minutes.
Okay, well,
We appreciate it.
yeah,
though.
I hope that was enough.
Yeah, thank you.
Do you want to finish the closing?
Sure.
So I'll make it kind of fast to finish this.
If you could introduce yourself, sorry.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Thank you.
My name is Michael Majerus, Shauna's husband. We moved here maybe like 4 or 5 years ago. We love living next to the school. It's awesome. It's been nice so far, and there's just been a huge change in our experience in the last 6 months. It's been really tough to deal with. But just to be clear for Shauna, this isn't a request to shut down the program. Again, when we were shown the house, we were really stoked that they were doing a program there, especially farming. We think that's awesome. Support that. Preston was the one that sold us the house, and so, he's all over the farm program there. And then, invitations, like if anyone wants to experience what we experience in our backyard these days, you're welcome to come. We'll invite you to our property. It's literally 300 feet away. It's very close. And then we'd like some kind of timeline of next steps for the board. So that's kind of our request coming out of this. And thanks again for your time. So that's closing on Shauna's comments. My comments, just to add, we have had the police there multiple times in the last week. I called them one night because it sounded like maybe we have a lot of kind of homeless people up around the area by the Goodwill and the gas station, and we thought maybe someone wandered in there because it was like banging and clanging really loudly at 10:15 at night. We called the police. Sergeant Engelsfeld, I think, came over. He came over, checked it out, put his light in it, and we both commented how terrible the smell of urine is in our backyard. And that was at 10:15 at night. So that's on record at the police. And then additionally, we heard the animals or something crying out. We went over there a few days ago, and the police were called for that too. Someone at the Quick Stop thought some kid was getting hurt, and they called the police. And that's 2 of the times the police have been on site in the last week. But I've called them 3 other times to say, what do we do? How can we help this? And each time they say they're going to refer us to the animal, remediators to go inspect the property. But that hasn't happened yet. So it's really tough. We can't leave our windows open. Yesterday morning was so nice. We opened our windows at 7 a.m. I said, it's so nice, look at the cool breeze. And a second later, my son said, it smells terrible. It smells like poop. We have to shut all the windows. And that's our experience every night. And we have air conditioning. We can keep our windows closed all summer, but it really is impacting our ability to just enjoy our backyard. We just redid our porch. We like hanging out there, and I have to spray it off almost daily because of the amount of dust getting kicked up when they turn over, whatever they turn over.
Thank you very
you.
much. Any other public comment on consent or non-agenda items?
Hi, I'm Shirley Lenahan, and I live in the same area that they do. And I was walking down the street, and the police had come round, and I said, well, what are you doing here? And they said, we had a call that someone is screaming, let me out of here. That was the goat sounds. It was that loud, and the police were checking all of the garages, thinking I said, listen, it's the goats making a sound. It sounds like let me out in goat. And then I didn't hear any mention of the flies. So I have never seen so many flies come in my house, and I have screens, but somehow they get in when I have 2 cats, and they get in, and then I live kitty corner, but I still get the smell. And it's kind of shocking that the barn could be, I love animals, I have goats where I work, but they should be away from where people live. They're smelly, they're loud, and they attract flies. If they could just move the barn another 40 yards away from the fence line would be most appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other?
Hi, my name is Diane Sensen. I live at 521 North Cloverdale Boulevard. So I'm a little bit away. I do notice the flies, but I ask all of you on the board, how would you like to live 5 feet away from where sheep and goats are being kept? We're not asking for to be removed. We're asking them to be moved. They should have never been put there in the first place.
Thank you.
Any other public comment on consent and non-agenda items? Okay. Now on to closed session, reportable action taken. There was no reportable action taken. So moving on to consent calendar, agenda item I. The CUSD Board of Trustees utilizes a consent calendar for items that require the approval of the board, but are of routine nature. They act upon these items in one vote. Any member may remove an item for additional questions. Board members receive their agendas and backup materials 7 days in advance of our meetings. They have the opportunity to ask questions and to do research prior to our meeting. It is their intent to handle their routine items expeditiously, so they have time to address issues that are more serious. So do I have a Oh, okay.
I'd like to pull number 11 if we could, unless you want just to talk about it for a little bit.
Would you guys, do we have a preference? We just want to let...
So the reason, it's a little bit, not tricky, but basically the Ed Code says that we cannot pay somebody differently than what every sub can get. So right now we have basically 4 layers. We have 3 layers plus we have an extra layer on top or at the end basically for retired teachers, and it can't be a separate thing. So everything has to be attainable. So what we've done is keep the 2 lower ones exactly the same, kind of eliminate the 3rd one and bring the 3rd one up to the 4th. So
Is that new? When did that go into effect?
That's a good question. Yes, it's new.
Okay,
Yes,
thank you.
Thank you. So do I have a motion to approve?
I move to approve consent items 1 through 14.
Okay, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, trustee Ramian seconds, preferential is not here. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? And then absent, we have trustee Lucas White. Okay, so moving on to association reports. CSEA. Okay. Teachers Association of Cloverdale, do we have a report? Okay. On to school reports. K1 Jefferson Elementary School.
Good evening. Happy summer. I have nothing additional to add, except if you'd like to go over and see Jefferson and the development that is happening on our property. It's amazing and moving very quickly. So other than that, my report is as submitted.
Thank you. Now on to K2 Washington School.
Hello, happy summer, and you have my report as submitted. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. On to K3 Cloverdale High School and JH Continuation High School.
So first, I want to thank the board for coming to graduation and all the other end of the year events that people came to, and you have my report as submitted.
Thank you very much. Okay, now moving on to Special Education and Student Services report.
You also have my report as submitted. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. On to M, Educational Services Report.
As submitted.
Next, N, Maintenance, Operations, and Transportation Report. I'm guessing because Michael's not here, it's as submitted. And on to board reports.
I'll go first. I was able to attend the 8th grade promotion as well as the high school graduation. It was always a lovely event, and it was in hot, nice weather, and that's all I got so far.
I was also able to join a few of us at the 8th grade promotion, which was great. Fun time, fun to watch the kids celebrate. We did another Measure H meeting this past week, or the week before, and progress is already going, as you can hear. We've made arrangements to keep it going. Glenn and several others have worked hard to make sure that we are staying on track for that project. But overall, that's pretty much all for this month.
Thank you.
I attended the FFA Awards Banquet. It was a very long ceremony, but it was amazing because of how many students we have in the program. There's over 261, I believe. There was no SARB for the month of June. I could not attend Measure H. I had a work conflict. I was able to attend the Washington Open House. Always fun to see students visiting classrooms that they're going to potentially go into and all the work that they've done throughout the year. I attended the CHS graduation as well as JH. They don't have finals per se, but they do their what they call the exhibitions. And I was able to attend, it was during Memorial Day week, so attend Tuesday through Friday, at least 2 presentations each day. And Miss Lawson had said by like the 3rd day, is that board member lady gonna come? Because the students kept seeing me come. So that was exciting that they were excited to have me there. And just seeing how much the students have grown in their time that they've been there and come out of their shell and what they've done by being in a different environment that works for them is amazing. So I'm very thankful to Ms. Lawson for bringing that program to the district. And one of the other things that was interesting was incoming JH students were invited to come to watch the exhibitions. And so they kind of got a little taste of what they're going to do next year. So, and they actually showed up. So that was really cool too. So thank you.
Thanks. But besides CHS graduation, and I did not realize that I had to speak at the very end, but I enjoyed it. Happy that I at least didn't trip it up too much, hopefully. I was able to attend Jefferson's Day on the Green. It was fantastic. All the kids' dances were so phenomenal. So it was really, really, really great to see all of that. Open house at Jefferson, being able to explore their classrooms, especially where my kiddo will be hopefully in 2nd grade. And then also attending the scholarship night. It was great to see, between 70 and 80 seniors, and some of those kiddos just cleaned up. It was phenomenal to just see all of their hard work. I know very much how much work it is to apply for all of those scholarships and interview, and it was great to give Hannah her Van Pelt scholarship as well. So that is all for my report. Now on to the superintendent report.
Nothing to report.
Okay. So moving on to Measure H, but again, is there anything to discuss?
Yeah, I would just say that we did receive our funding approval from OPSC. Yeah. And so now we just got to wait for our either 4 to 6 weeks or 6 to 8 weeks. But yeah, it should be on the way. So.
Okay. Great. So moving on to S, discussion action items. So S1, consideration and acceptance of donations. CARE Foundation donated $8,268.41 to the district for field trips and other approved items. Cloverdale Eagle Pride Boosters donated $1,728.29 to CHS Baseball and Washington Softball. Cloverdale Lions Club donated $2,000 to Washington School's 5th grade class. And PG&E Blackbaud Giving Fund donated $160 to JEH. So thank you so much for all of those donations. They're greatly appreciated. And do I have a motion to approve acceptance of donations?
I move to approve the acceptance of donations.
Okay, I have a motion from Trustee Garrison. Do I have a second?
I'll second the motion.
Okay, Trustee Zekwitz. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? And then Trustee Lopez White. Now on to S2. Oh, okay. Do I need to slow down? I want to make sure. Yeah, sorry, Connie. Okay. So moving on to S2, consideration and possible action on resolution 217-09, Cloverdale Unified School District as a safe haven district. Or do we have any discussion?
I don't have any discussion.
Okay. Okay. Do we have any public comment?
Yes. Those are going to be in Spanish. Are you able to have interpretation?
So you get 3 minutes to speak and then an additional 3 minutes to have it translated. So we don't get the headphones. We need someone to translate for us. Because in that way, the public watching will also be able to understand.
Pero si quieres ayudarme, si puedes. She can help me, right? If she thinks that I'm not doing like good enough for them to understand, can one of them help?
Is that?
Is that kosher?
Okay.
What?
No, we need to
Do you
have,
want to help?
she needs to be able to translate it for you guys, so you guys can hear it.
Yeah.
But I think Connie's asking, can she get help to translate to
If she
them?
needs it.
If I need it.
To,
Well, she should be fine.
no, if, yeah.
No, I'm fine.
Okay.
So remember, you're translating for them to be able to hear.
Right.
Right. So maybe have, you're gonna wanna do it partially as you're going, right?
Yes, that's
But
what
you're
I've
gonna
been
need to do
trying
it
to
in the
do.
microphone also, because people
Oh.
online are watching also.
And then just so you know, it'll go 3 minutes, it'll beep, and then I'll reset it again and you'll get an additional 3 minutes if it extends that long. So if it beeps, just keep,
So la primera vez que voy a hacerlo, voy a tratar de hacer lo más que puedo. No.
Well, she can just do it, so you can just do a little bit by little bit.
Right.
Yeah.
or maybe Connie can also look at her paper if it's typed up.
Yeah. Because it all has to be in the microphone, because people are online also.
A veces es por lo cual pedimos la buena interpretación para poder entender nosotros como padres todo lo que están hablando aquí. Gracias. Mi nombre es María Aguirre, no sé si me recuerden, estuve en la última junta donde hablamos acerca de la resolución de refugio seguro.
My name is Maria Aguirre, and I don't know if you remember, I was here at
At the last meeting.
at the last meeting.
Vengo a hablar acerca de lo de la resolución del refugio seguro, de lo que estuvimos hablando, o de lo que yo hablé en la reunión pasada, y es la preocupación de lo que está pasando hoy en el condado.
So she's here tonight to reiterate the meeting, the last meeting, and the, I can't think of it in English, the problem that they're worried about. That, and the fact that we don't have enough representation in Spanish for them to understand.
De lo que quiero hablar es de el problema de inmigración en el condado.
And the problem with immigration in the county.
Ustedes nos presentaron una resolución que el distrito tenía.
You presented to them something that the district had came up with? A resolution.
A safe haven resolution you have.
the safe haven resolution you have in place.
También quiero que esa resolución de refugio seguro que ustedes nos presentaron le faltan o que agreguen más cosas a los puntos y sea igual a la resolución de Santa Rosa.
So they feel the resolution that you came up with is still missing some of the points that what they have in Santa Rosa. And they would like you to integrate that into what we have here.
Y la resolución de Santa Rosa ya se las presentamos en la reunión, entonces ellos pueden ver, comparar la resolución que ellos tienen en el distrito con esa otra resolución para que sea para la comunidad, para los padres, para nuestros hijos.
So the resolution that they presented to you from Santa Rosa, they want you to revise it, revise our solution, our resolution, so that it matches what Santa Rosa has. They feel like it's more protection and that it's more comforting to them to have what Santa Rosa has.
Y también que nos digan o quiero saber cómo van a llevar todos los puntos que nos presentan en esa resolución, cómo va a trabajar, cómo va a funcionar toda esta resolución.
So they want to know, with all the points that they're pointing out, how are we going to come to the resolution? How are we going to come to the resolution of what Santa Rosa has came to, so that we can make us more comfortable and
¿Cómo el distrito va
the district? How is the district going to? How is the district going to come to that resolution?
No, actually.
I'm sorry, we need to follow procedure here on this one, so how do we want to do this?
So let me
They
see
can
the
come
papel.
up and speak when
Okay,
it's their time.
that's-
Yeah.
that's good. Okay.
No, esa es la resolución.
Oh, okay. Y ese es tu papel. María, ¿no tienes otra cosa que decir? ¿Más que eso? Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Maria.
Tú puedes decirlo en inglés, ¿no?
Hola, mi nombre es Susana Oseguera, haya estado aquí. Tengo 2 hijos aquí en la escuela, una en
Espérame. Mi nombre es Susana
Oseguera.
Osuguera y tengo 2 hijos aquí en la escuela.
You're supposed to translate in English.
That's what happened, sorry. Sorry, my name is Susana Oseguera and I've been in other meetings and I have 2 children in the school.
Ok. Mi preocupación es el impacto que causa a los niños la presencia de AI en nuestra escuela y en nuestro pueblo.
So my worry is the presence of ICE being able to come into our schools and how it makes our kids feel and what is going to happen what happens when they do show up.
Ahora no están en clases, pero cuando vuelvan a clases no sabemos qué va a pasar. Los niños se sienten seguros ahora, pero el día que regresen a clases,
The kids are not in school right now and they're not in class, but what happens the next year when they come back to school? Are they going to be able to concentrate on their work? Are they going to be able to do the best they can do in school? Are they going to have to sit and worry all the time that we're going to let immigration come right into our schools?
no, y nada más son los niños, también somos los papás, también nos está
Not only the-
impactando.
Not only the kids, but the moms and dads thinking all day long, are their kids safe?
Necesitamos tener un refugio seguro y llevarlo a cabo para que cuando regrese a la escuela, los papás tengamos la confianza de traer a los niños y los niños tengan esa confianza de venir a la escuela y sentirse seguros.
So we need to have a resolution ready to go when school starts again, so that we feel comfortable enough to send our kids to school and not have to worry about them while we're trying to work and make a living, basically.
También tengo algo más que hablar de la reunión pasada.
Quiero hablar, I'm going to talk about the last meeting we had regarding those niños, so regarding the kids.
De los niños que vinieron o jóvenes a hablar de la otra escuelita, no recuerdo cómo se llama, algo así.
JEH.
JEH. Ajá. Me impactó lo que escuché. Me gustó una parte, la otra me impactó.
So she was very, very interested in the kids that came to speak from JEH. She said it affected her very much. ¿Qué parte?
Donde ellos dijeron, me gustó donde ellos dijeron, me siento, o sea, me tratan como una persona en esta escuela. Sí.
Ella dije que that it
English. Sorry, Connie.
I know, sorry. She said that it affected her because the kids from JEH basically said how much, how good they felt because of the way they were treated over there like a person, not just a kid that's behind on their grades and trying to make them up to graduate. They're treated like a person.
Entonces yo pensé, dije, si ahí ellos están diciendo que los tratan como una persona, ahí se sintieron que los están tratando como una persona, ¿cómo los tratan en high school? Yo quiero saber.
So she wants to know, what if these kids are saying that they're treated like a person over there, what are we treating our kids like here in high school? Because they're not feeling the same way, basically. ¿Verdad? Que no
Sí.
siente igual los que ella.
Entonces ese fue un impacto grande para mí como mamá que tengo mis hijos aquí en la escuela. ¿Cómo tratan a mis hijos?
Yeah. So she wants to know, so she said it affects her because those are her kids that are here, and she's wondering how they're being treated. If the kids over there saying they're treated like a person, what about these kids in this school?
Es todo, gracias.
Thank you.
Thank you.
¿Tienes papel? Voy a tratar.
Hola, mi nombre es Eva Ruiz y tengo 2 estudiantes aquí en la high school.
Her name is Eva Ruiz, and she has 2 students here at Cloverdale High School.
Y mi preocupación es cómo van a manejar ellos cuando entren los niños a la escuela con ICE y también
her worries are what's going to happen when school starts and ICE comes with her kids here in the school.
y también está preparada la escuela si los niños tienen miedo o los papás traer a los estudiantes, el impacto que también va a tener la escuela.
So she wants to know if the parents over here are ready for when, you know, the plan is when ICE does come, how is it going to affect their kids and how is it going to affect their school, their schoolwork? ¿Y es más?
Es todo lo que
¿Sí es
voy a
todo?
decir. Sí.
Thank you.
Thank you.
¿Tú puedes hacerlo en inglés? En
No.
español.
Ok, buenas tardes antes que nada.
Good afternoon, evening.
Tengo unas preocupaciones. Quiero saber qué fue lo que arreglaron de Champions. Lo hablé con 2 de ustedes de la mesa directiva en día de café o algo así me parece.
Okay, espérame.
Y no recibí ninguna resolución.
Okay. She wants to know what happened with Champions. She said she came to 2 people on the board and she has never gotten a resolution yet.
Unfortunately, it's not on the safe haven policy, so it's off topic for us.
So
at the moment.
so it's not, ese no es la mismo cosa que estábamos hablando nosotros sobre la inmigración.
No, no es lo mismo. Estoy
So,
hablando
no,
de otra
no
cosa.
puede hablar de ahora.
We're only talking about that
Nomás
particular thing
estábamos,
right now.
Resolution.
nomás estábamos hablando de la resolución de la inmigración.
Ok, entonces hoy nada más vamos a hablar de la resolución y de nada más.
Sí.
Can you translate, Connie?
She wants to know, sorry. She wants to know if so we can't talk about anything else other than the immigration resolution.
Correct.
Correct.
It would need to have been on
Correcto.
non-agenda items at the beginning after we reconvened to close set, or from closed session.
So de la otra junta tienes que hablar, a poner algo en la lista de hablar.
Ok, yo lo he hablado con 2 de ustedes 2 veces. Entonces, ¿eso no importa?
Pues por ahorita no puedes hablar de nada más que estás en la lista,
Entonces,
señora.
¿tengo que hacer un appointment para hablar con ustedes?
But our
So-
superintendent said that you were more than welcome to set up a meeting with him sometime even tomorrow.
Dice que puedes hacer una junta con el superintendent hasta mañana si quieres.
Ok. Muy bien. Y de eso también vamos a hablar sobre los maestros que despidieron. Entonces, ¿también mañana lo puedo hablar con el superintendente?
So she's worried about the teachers that you got rid of?
Again, it's off topic.
It's off topic.
Sí,
We're
sí, es
only
otra
talking
cosa.
about,
Que también ya lo había hablado con ustedes.
Es que
There's-
tiene que hacer en la lista de las cosas,
Sí, yo
señora.
entiendo.
Ok.
Gracias. ¿Y el cuidado de niños de hoy? ¿Dónde está?
So you didn't have anybody to take care of kids today?
we don't know, is that what's the question?
¿Qué es la pregunta?
Que yo traje a mis hijos, quiero estar aquí, no me puedo concentrar con ustedes en la junta porque volteo a ver a mis hijos y los volteo a ver a ustedes y a la señora que está interpretando, escucharla. ¿Por qué no hay cuidado de niños hoy?
So she's saying, why isn't there anybody taking care of the kids? She couldn't really concentrate on the meeting because she was watching her kids, she was listening to me. and she
Oh,
was
taking
listening to
care
me
of kids at the meeting?
at the meeting. So usually we have,
We do not have,
you don't.
no, we do not.
At the DLAP?
La DLAC,
yes,
So,
but not
es
here.
los otros juntas allá de Jefferson, de DLAC, esos juntas sí tiene alguien para cuidar los niños, pero aquí en esos juntas de la board no tienen que tener gente de cuidar los niños aquí.
Ok, entonces la respuesta es que los que tenemos niños y no tenemos quien nos los cuide, no podemos venir a esta junta porque no hay quien los cuide. ¿Es eso correcto?
So her thing is, she said, so if you don't have anybody to take care of your kids, you can't come to the meeting?
The kids can come.
Everyone's more than welcome, but I will have to say we're gonna need to move on. If there's any more comments about Safe Haven resolution, I do not mean to be rude whatsoever. We just have to make sure that we kind of stay on track with that particular item.
Ese es otro, también tiene que ser a lo mejor una pregunta en la lista para saber de eso.
Entonces nos tenemos que esperar a preguntar en una lista para ver si hay una opción para venir.
Es que toda la gente, hasta la comunidad, puede venir a la junta. Hasta
¿Le puedes
tus
decir, por
niños.
favor?
Ajá. So, she wants to know, a ver, dime otra vez.
Entonces yo tengo que venir a preguntarles a ustedes un mes antes si puedo venir a la siguiente junta con mis hijos.
No.
I think
Pregúntele, por
do we
favor.
have any other public
She's
speakers
kinda
if you want to?
confused. She's kind of confused. She said that, does she have to come 1 month before to ask if she can bring the kids? But
Oh,
I
no.
tried to explain to her, everybody in the community is welcome
Yes.
to
Yeah.
these meetings.
Yes, like my child will be here with me tomorrow. So yes.
So, no tienes que venir a preguntar si por permiso. Pueden venir tus hijos a lo que sea junta aquí en este board.
Ok, tengo una pregunta sobre inmigración.
Okay.
¿Qué tan seguro está mi hijo en esta escuela y en la otra escuela, en la Jefferson? ¿Qué tan seguro está con el racismo? De que se vayan a burlar por mis hijos porque hablan español.
She wants-
¿Ustedes han platicado de eso? ¿Saben cómo le van a hacer?
So she wants to know what's being done about the bullying that is happening with kids. Immigration, what?
Yes, it needs to be dealing directly with the resolution. I'm
Tiene
very
que ser
sorry.
con la resolución
We need to
de la-
move on. And so if anyone else wants to come up to the podium, please do so.
Come on. Oh, I volunteered today.
Good evening. My name is Linda Evans.
I'm a member of Migrant Justice in Action, or MIJA, and we've been working with mothers up here to work toward language justice in the schools, as you all know. Tonight, I'm really urging you to adopt the Safe Haven Resolution as it is worded for the Santa Rosa City Schools. It differs from the one that you enacted previously in several different important ways, one of which is to not allow ICE on the campuses, which actually traumatizes children, as you may imagine. I think the second thing that's critical is the implementation of the resolution. It includes a mandate for training for everyone, for the student, for the students, but also for the employees, so that everyone in the school feels safe, so they know how to interact with ICE should ICE come to the school. And we have many best practices to share with you if you would like that. For example, having physical signs that designate a safe place, a private area in each school where ICE may not enter without a judicial warrant. Another example is to actually have physical copies of judicial warrant versus an arrest ICE warrant, so that the people at the front desk, should they actually be confronted by ICE, will be able to determine whether ICE should be allowed to enter or not. We really are afraid that the atmosphere is going to be worse this fall, and that there'll be more attacks outside of the usual realm of what one would consider to be what law enforcement should be doing. So we're extremely concerned about whether or not you are using this time to make a plan for when the parents are dropping off their children, so that they'll continue to bring their kids to school, and the kids won't be so afraid to come that they refuse to come. So I really urge you to take action and to pass the resolution. We appreciate your attention and your concern.
Thank you. Thank you.
¿Por qué no hubo traducción?
Because I,
¿Por qué no hay traducción?
so she's asking because I didn't translate.
Do you feel comfortable translating? Or can she translate
Linda,
her,
do
what
you
she
want to
just said?
translate?
I'm not
Oh, okay.
translator. You probably are.
I'm not, I'm just here helping.
Do you need
But
her notes?
Do you need me to translate that, or do you have a meeting with these ladies separately?
Pues yo creo que a lo mejor sería que fuera ahí.
Okay. You want to come back, Linda, for me, and bring me your... They understood you? So she's saying it's fine.
Por favor, la próxima vez que alguien se levante, traduzcan. Por eso
Sí.
tenemos un traductor.
Sí.
Me quedé esperando que lo hicieran, pensé que lo iban a hacer hasta que terminaron, pero esto no puede ser.
Está bien, pero la
Por favor.
señora la pregunté y dije que sí entendí las otras.
So,
So she wants me to repeat it.
but side conversation,
Pero lo
we need to
correcto
move
sería
on
que
to the
hubiera
next
sido ahí.
comment.
Okay.
Please.
So, next.
Ok. Buenas tardes, mi nombre es Sandra Cruz, soy miembro de Justicia Migrante.
So this is Sandra Cruz. She's a member of
Justicia Migrante en Acción.
Justicia Emigrante.
Migrante en Acción.
Migrante en Acción.
Con lo que ocurre recientemente con ICE, no podemos empezar un nuevo año escolar sin que tenga el distrito escolar un plan.
So she's been with them for con ICE. No podemos empezar
Nuevo año escolar.
we cannot, she's saying that she is with this program and that we cannot start the new school year without a plan.
Sin que el distrito escolar tenga un plan y una resolución justa para nuestra comunidad.
So basically she's saying that with this program that she is with, they're saying that we cannot start our school year without a plan that is, that justifies for our kids and their parents.
No podemos esperar a que sigan con miedo de venir de asistir a la escuela.
So we can't continue to go forward and wait and have them start school with being afraid to come.
Necesitamos la resolución ya, por favor.
So we need a resolution.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry.
You can do it?
No.
Oh.
I'm going to speak slow.
Okay.
Buenas tardes, mi nombre es Daisy Carreño
So good evening, her name is Daisy Cariño.
y soy parte de Justicia Migrante en Acción.
So she's a part of the program Justicia
Migrante en Acción.
Migrante en Acción.
También soy madre del distrito de Roseland.
She's also a
Mother.
mother, right?
Ujú.
Mother of somebody that's at Roseland
Por más de casi 20 años.
for more than 20 years.
Estos años he sido una madre activa
She's been active in the school,
y he visto cómo este año, el año pasado, este distrito aprobó la resolución.
so she's been involved in the way that they approved the action or the resolution for the immigration last year, this year.
Roseland y Cloverdale no tienen tanta diferencia,
Roseland and Cloverdale are not different,
ya que su población es más del 60% de padres hispanohablantes.
so we're about the same size as far as parents in Spanish and Hispanic kids go,
E inmigrantes
and immigrants.
que están preocupados por la seguridad
They're all worried about the safety of their children
ante la presencia de ICE en las escuelas.
with the presence of ICE in their schools.
Deberían de saber que esto es algo que puede pasar.
We have to know that this is what's going to happen, that they're going to be.
Una de mis preocupaciones es cómo los padres se van a sentir seguros al venir a dejar a sus hijos.
Her biggest worry is how are fathers and mothers going to bring their children to school and leave them when they're not sure what's going to happen when they get here.
Pero sobre todo estoy súper preocupada por el impacto en la salud mental de los estudiantes.
But the most important thing is the impact of their mental health and with this happening.
Es súper estresante saber
It's really stressful to know
que los estudiantes deberían de estar, en lugar de estar pensando en su educación,
they should be here thinking about their education, not that kind of thing.
estén preocupados de saber cómo será la situación de sus padres y de ellos mismos
And
si
kids-
entra ICE.
Kids have to worry about the worries of their parents and not being able to work because they're afraid to go.
Como madre activa en el distrito de Roseland,
Being a mother that's active in the district of Roseland,
he estado platicando con niños directamente
she's been talking to kids directly.
y sé que el impacto es tremendo y la preocupación en
And
ellos.
the impact on kids are tremendous
Incluso porque hay niños que van llegando de México.
because there's also kids that are just coming from Mexico.
Su pregunta es, ¿qué va a hacer si llega ICE y me detiene a mí?
So her question is, what are you going to do if ICE comes and takes them?
Esto es algo que ustedes como mesa directiva, y sé que algunos de ustedes son maestros,
This is something that you guys as moms and dads and teachers
deberían de estarse preguntando
need to be asking yourself, what do we do?
si están realmente conectados con los estudiantes en sus preocupaciones.
If you're very connected with the students, your children, in their worries about what's going to happen.
Pasar una resolución
To pass a resolution,
no es solamente firmar y decir ya está hecha.
it's not only to sign it and say it's done.
Es implementarla,
So you have to implement it.
crear protocolos realmente con seguridad
You have to make them think and believe that they're going to be safe
envolver a los maestros
and bring the teachers back.
y de realmente concientizar que este es un trabajo de ustedes.
that you guys need to realize and understand that it is your work to do.
La seguridad de los estudiantes depende de los maestros y del personal de la escuela.
The safety of the students are your responsibility so that they feel comfortable enough to come to school.
Vuelvo a recordar que al presentar la resolución que leímos de Cloverdale, mi interés es que sea igualada al del distrito de Santa Rosa.
So the most important thing is to redo our resolution that we have and to try to incorporate the things that the other Roselands has.
Y también incluir a los padres que están activos
And also include the fathers and mothers that are involved
para comprobar que se están realmente implementando las cosas que están
so they can
escritas.
see that you are actually implementing everything.
Piensen en la seguridad y en el impacto no solamente en padres,
Think about the, a ver, dime otra.
el impacto en los padres,
So the impact on the fathers
en los estudiantes,
and the students
pero sobre todo es cuántos niños faltarán a la escuela.
and all the kids that aren't coming to school for that reason.
Thank you.
Any other comment?
Hello everyone, my name is Gina Garibo. Hola a todos, mi nombre es Gina Garibo. I'm part of MIJA, Migrant Justice in Action. Soy parte de MIJA, Justicia Migrante en Acción, and also I'm an organizer with the North Bay Rapid Response Network. Y también soy organizadora con la red de respuesta rápida del norte de la bahía. What I want to bring today is most of mothers have been saying. Lo que voy a traer a la mesa hoy es gran parte de lo que las mamás han estado diciendo. We had been receiving so many calls in the hotline for the North Bay Rapid Response Network. Hemos estado recibiendo muchísimas llamadas a nuestra hotline hacia la red de respuesta rápida. That implies a lot of trauma, a lot of panic, a lot of suffering, a lot of lack of trust. Que implica muchísimo pánico, muchísimo trauma, miedo y también falta de confianza. As you know, these mothers, como ustedes saben, estas mamás, delivered to you, entregaron a ustedes, the safe haven resolution that Santa Rosa School District has in place, la resolución de refugio seguro que el distrito de Santa Rosa tiene en puerta, ¿no? Que está aplicando. And after I was reading the Cloverdale Safe Haven Resolution, y después de que estuve leyendo la resolución de refugio seguro de Cloverdale, I noticed that there are many things that can be improved. Noté que hay muchas cosas que pueden hacer mejor. And I think you deserve that as a board members, you deserve that as a teachers, as a superintendent, as a principal, and obviously they deserve it as a mothers, as a parents that are bringing their kids to these schools. Y yo sé que esos cosas que hacen falta en la resolución de Cloverdale es algo que ustedes se merecen, como miembros de la mesa directiva, como maestros, como administradores, también las madres, también los padres que traen a sus hijos a esta escuela. What I'm really concerned about, de lo que estoy muy preocupada, is that we have the Safe Haven Resolution from Santa Rosa, que la resolución santuario, resolución refugio de Santa Rosa has in place things that are very basic too. Que la resolución de Santa Rosa tiene cosas que son muy básicas también. And I think Cloverdale can make it happen very easily. Y creo que Cloverdale puede hacer que eso se haga muy fácil. For instance, knowing what is the demographic of the students we have. This resolution has it. The Santa Rosa resolution has it in one of the paragraphs. Por ejemplo, la demografía de los estudiantes que ustedes reciben. Esta resolución del Distrito Escolar de Santa Rosa lo tiene en uno de sus párrafos. Also, these resolutions establish that the superintendent needs to create protocols of implementations and facilitate or create trainings for teachers, staff members, not only principal, but also principals, and also to let know the community what they can do in case I show up here in your schools and in your community. Y también en uno de los párrafos de esta resolución se dice que el superintendente tiene que elaborar protocolos y entrenamientos para las personas miembros del staff, profesores, directores, superintendentes y también para la comunidad. So I think you have a really important endeavor to do. Creo que tienen una responsabilidad muy grande que hacer y que la comunidad les está dando la oportunidad de que ustedes lo hagan así. And the community gives you the opportunity to you do that in the right way. Y aparte de eso, and apart from that, we're giving you what we want to see in here. So it's so easy to do that. And we encourage you to do that. Y aparte de eso, ustedes lo tienen muy fácil porque les hemos estado dando esta resolución ya. Y lo pueden hacer de una manera más fácil que lo que tomó en otro distrito escolar. And I urge you, please, to take into consideration the last 3 paragraphs of the Santa Rosa School District Resolution, the Safe Haven Resolution, which are really, really important. Y les aliento, les pido, por favor, que tomen en consideración los últimos 3 párrafos de esta resolución del Distrito Escolar de Santa Rosa, porque son muy importantes y pueden hacer la diferencia en la vida de familias migrantes. And this paragraph can make the difference in the life of immigrant parents that you are serving in this school. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
They have that.
Any other
Yeah.
comment?
Okay.
Board member discussion, thoughts, questions, anything?
We're allowed to discuss. Making sure. Okay. Well,
Oh, I'm sorry.
So she can go sit in the back.
I can sit where?
I know, anyone want to start, or do we want to, I mean, does someone want to make a motion to approve? It's kind of a, I mean, it's all up to us, so, anyone thoughts on the language of the resolution?
the Santa Rosa one.
The one that we have actually, like, the Cloverdale one in our agenda packet as well.
Okay. I think we should have all board members at hand before we make any kind of personally. But in regards to the Santa Rosa resolution,
Dice él que quieres tener la otra persona que falta ahora para hacer decisiones, pero quiere hablar sobre la de Santa Rosa, la resolución.
I am definitely not comfortable having that at Cloverdale.
Dice que no está muy, no se siente muy a gusto de todo lo que está en el papel, en la resolución de Santa Rosa.
I don't personally, and this is speaking for myself, I don't want to put that pressure on
Dice que no quiere poner presión on
any faculty member or staff member or administrator
una administrator, maestra, gente que trabaja aquí,
to start having altercation with any law enforcement agencies.
para tener una pleito con alguien de la ley.
If there was a police officer coming to our school,
Si era una policía que llegaba aquí a la escuela,
would we say, don't come?
podía decir que no puedes leer una policía.
I mean, I'm just being, that's how I'm processing my thoughts.
Nomás está pensando en todo lo que dice en el papel. Es nomás un ejemplo.
I am a board member for all of Cloverdale,
Dice que es un miembro de aquí de la escuela por todo Cloverdale.
and I don't want to have the perception that I'm having special accommodation, languages, or treatment for different groups.
Dice que no quiere que otra gente piense que nosotros estamos haciendo algo especial nomás por un grupo.
Additionally,
These guys.
Espérate.
you're asking for a resolution, and I'm giving my opinion and perspective.
Dice que nosotros estamos preguntando por una resolution y él nomás está diciendo su parte.
Trustee O'Gara, you're just kind of basically talking.
Okay,
to
we're
us,
talking
so,
here. All right.
Yes, we're having a.
Well, I was trying to be polite to
no,
have
I-
everyone, but
We're
then
having our
I'm trying to be slower and looking at you.
Yeah, I know.
But so I know it's a time where everyone has high anxiety and
Dice que si es un tiempo de que todos
okay,
están muy
and so I have to also use my own personal experience that does come in as a son of two immigrant parents, so I understand the worries.
Dice que él sí entiende los problemas que todos tenemos nosotros, los pensamientos y todo, porque él es un hijo de dos inmigrantes.
So I don't want to put our district in a position where we are having to fight any federal law enforcement agency as well.
Él dice que nomás no quiere poner nosotros o los muchachos o un maestro en el camino de pelear con alguien de la ley.
So when your children are at our school, I know our faculty and staff, they're our number one priority.
Dice que los niños aquí en la escuela sí son los más importantes.
So when they're here, we'll do our best to protect everyone and follow laws. So
Que cuando están aquí vamos a tratar de ser la más que pueda para seguir a la ley y a proteger los hijos.
So, in regards to the resolution, since we've already passed one before, I'm okay with that one, the one we passed before prior, but definitely not the new one with the language of just not cooperating with the law enforcement agency at all.
I think, Trustee O'Gara, and I kind of come from a different perspective, simply because I'm a teacher as well. I know for me it's a little bit more of an emotional thing, because the idea of someone coming in and taking one of my students without proper documentation, I don't think it's a question of fighting anyone necessarily. It's a question of making sure that there's protocol in place so that a child does not get taken and there's not proper due process. You know what I mean? I think that's more of kind of the perspective of the safe haven policy. And I am a teacher within Santa Rosa City Schools, and I will tell you the semantics of the language, it's very different than implementation, because I'm gonna throw them under the bus for a quick sec. We have no implementation.
Oh,
Connie, you need to go as she's talking. We can't stop and go every time. So you can, yeah, and if you sit in the back, that way we can continue to have the meeting.
Sorry, I'll
Sorry.
speak slower. I promise.
Yeah, you were like, I was
Sorry,
trying,
I'm
but I
like
was
going a
so
mile a minute. So what I think is important, if we want to keep the same one we have,
Más importante, que vamos a tener la que tiene.
which I do really actually appreciate the vague language, so it can be interpreted on you know what I mean, on a different educational basis, whether it's elementary, middle, or high school.
Ella dice que la que tenemos nosotros, la nueva, es más, sí es más simple, pero que para entender todo lo que está pasando, ella es maestra y sí entiende todo los miedos que tenemos nosotros, que le lleven los niños sin
No.
papeles y todo eso.
And I think for me as a teacher, it would be great, even with the language of the safe haven, there needs to be a protocol, in my opinion, and proper procedure that teachers and staff then decide what they're going to do. Do you know what I mean? Because I get what you're saying.
Los maestros y ellos para
I understand that for some people it is, okay, this is law enforcement, ICE, whatever it may be, and you want to make sure that you're following the law. But I think what's being asked is us having a protocol to make sure everyone knows what the law is, if that makes sense. Which can be covered under this particular policy.
I think the one we already have does cover that without having that language that we're going to prevent ICE from coming into or schools or whatnot. I am in a position where I don't want us to be in a position where we are kind of fighting cultural or political issues based on our just because it's our demographics or anything like that. That's where I'm coming from, and I think we're making this very political, and I don't want that. I personally want a protocol. If they have the proper whatever, it's just like I would have a firefighter, a cop, a detective. I'm not seeing a difference in that. That's just my thoughts. And I think our current resolution gives us that protocol that you're talking about personally.
I would just like to, and this is obviously touching upon our superintendent as well, it's not enough to have a protocol if people are not taught it. And again, this is referring to the Santa Rosa resolution. I have received no training. There was a resolution, it was a quick worksheet, to be perfectly honest with all of you, and I don't feel prepared. So what I would love our district to do
So now we can do better.
is, exactly, if we do keep the same resolution, it would be great to see a protocol so everyone felt comfortable in case the situation arose.
So necesitan decir a todos, no nomás a unos, a todos, para entender y enseñar cómo pueden hacer las cosas más bien.
Okay, so hypothetically, let's speak, and ICE entry comes to our school. What would be a protocol that you would want? Because I'm sure that they're not just be like, hey, just gonna walk into your school and just start grabbing. They'll typically announce themselves, hey, we're from blah blah blah. So what would you like? Should it be a secretary? Should it be a principal to come in? I mean, I'm sure.
Well, that I think needs to be part of the discussion.
Okay.
It needs to be.
Ask the superintendent, it says in here.
So that's what I'm saying. It's already in. I was just trying to get us to say that it's already
Yeah.
in here.
I would just like to make sure that everyone would be trained properly to know how to do the process. Do you know what I mean? I think that would be important.
A todo. Todos nosotros tenemos que estar para estar listos nosotros. Y ellos.
So what would this look like? It's a once a quarter, once a year training? I mean, you're a teacher. What are your thoughts on this? How to implement it, if we were to?
Well, I'd like more than a worksheet. I think that it does need to be heavily based on front of house. It needs to be office staff. And that would be a question for
Ella
our
dice que ella
superintendent.
se siente que nomás los maestros y los que están aquí afuera, también los en la oficina, allá across the street, todos ellos, todos. Y
We're
los
talking
padres
about
también.
getting direction and policy from you guys, and then we would implement it then. I mean, there's stuff out there we could get certainly, and I'm hearing what you guys are saying, we just need to agree on a direction that we're going.
Well, and I think this can also be, honestly, due to our demographic. I mean, we're talking 60+%.
Exactly.
It's, I don't necessarily see it as favor. There is no specific group per se that's specifically stated in it. But, you know, if you have a 7-year-old that's afraid to come to school, I think for them, part of that, and let me roll this into our lovely acronym of MTSS, I think that we could possibly do a layer within professional development to at least be aware of maybe some different processes. Just a thought, though.
Para estar listos.
And just a something that we should also be aware, as in Santa Rosa or any other district, or have we had any ICE agency go attend schools in the state of California? What's the
LA, the riots right now.
No, right now.
Oh, sorry. Sorry, audience, yes.
So,
Yes.
so we're saying, and I've heard, even though it's a discussion, they mentioned LA. And so, and my question would be, are we prepared to be like because I personally don't want, I think where I'm coming from is I don't want our board, speaking for me, to be another like entity or vehicle to kind of fight immigration policy and whatnot. So that's where I'm coming from. And so I want us to be school focused first. While you're in school, we'll defend your ability to go to school. The state of California is very clear on that. Every child has the ability to come to school, learn. So I don't want us being I don't want us being part of any other immigration group. I don't want us doing any of their, I don't know how to articulate that, what I'm trying to say, but I want us to be focused on school, education, and doing our best for all children, irrespective of where they're from or ethnicity. So that's my only concern when we start adopting resolutions that have particular language like that.
Trustee Garrison, Zach, what are we thinking?
I would like Ashley's input as well, honestly. We're a board of 5.
We can hear you.
We still do have July.
I would like to see it come back as we have more time to discuss it as a board.
What do you think, Trustee Garrison?
I was on the board and when the original safe haven was brought forward. So I already approved this. And I guess to me, it's very clear what can and can't happen. We have to follow the law. I don't want to jeopardize the board or our staff by doing something that goes against the law. So we do have to follow the law. It is very specific. They can't come on and just take anyone. They have to have a specific warrant with a specific name. I've attended trainings for my job. So they just can't come and take anyone. It has to be very specific.
Yeah.
And so I guess that would just be clarification of who is the point person. And it does say the superintendent. So the superintendent is the point person here. So I feel like this is very clear and it protects our students, but it also follows the law.
She said it better than I did.
So the question is, though, do we want to table it until we have trustee Lopez White next month? Or, because someone can, right, we can table for,
It's already approved and adopted by the district, though.
So-
So I guess I'm confused on what is being
I
asked. Why
don't-
do we need to readopt it?
We don't need to reinvent the wheel, or is that the term? Is that the saying? I
I
mean,
do
it's-
appreciate that we already have something in place.
We have
several
something in
years
place.
ago. I do appreciate that fact, and I appreciate the board ahead of time doing that.
so does someone want to make a motion?
It's already
okay.
there.
It's already there, okay. Well, then this can, I mean, for me, I'd like this to be fleshed out personally a little bit more, just because I think for communication to families, it's really important to know that, you know, what the process is if this were to happen. That's just something that I would like to see.
I believe the superintendent has sent out numerous stuff about, like, what we'll do if that ever happened, right?
The California Department of Justice
Yeah.
did send us what our protocols that we're supposed to
Yeah.
follow, yes.
So,
And we have sent those out at least once, if not twice.
and we'll just make sure it's in, and also, it was also in Spanish as well, so.
Okay, so are we moving on? Since no motion has to actually happen, because it's already in place, I do very much thank all of you for coming this evening and putting your comments and thoughts and emotions out there. Thank you.
Their thoughts, emotions.
And thank you for being so flexible with interpretation services this evening. We had some illnesses and whatnot that prevented a few of them from being here tonight.
Yes, and I'm not a professional, I'm just here to help the best that I can.
Thank you.
What's next about this?
We need to, that would be, sorry, I know I'm not supposed to address, so this is the only time I will. That would be definitely a conversation to bring to, correct? So she's asking what the next steps are. Yeah, to talk to us. Yeah.
Well, the next steps, depending on, because I don't make policy. You guys are the ones that make policies, so they could certainly talk to me about getting information to you guys, but I don't decide what goes on the agenda or what policy is. So you guys need to figure out what we want to do.
So, Madam President or trustee,
That's okay.
whatever. I like Madam, anyway, do you want to put it on next month and discuss in a
Whenever we get to future board agenda items,
Okay.
yes. But what I will tell to everyone in the audience, please feel free to email any of us, set up meetings, whatever it might be, whatever you would like to do. Just utilize that resource. Okay, so we are moving on to S3, public hearing of the 2025-27 Local Control Accountability Plan and Plan Attachments.
So we have to adjourn to that. Do you have to do a start time when you have the
Okay.
public hearing?
So we will adjourn at 7:19.
Not adjourn, but adjourn to a public hearing.
Yeah, adjourn to a public hearing at 7:19.
Okay, and then you want to ask if there's any comment, public comment first, or you could start with the board.
Okay.
Better might be to start with the
Okay.
public comment.
Any
Regarding the
public
LCAP.
comment on the LCAP
And attachments.
and attachments?
Necesitamos una resolución rápida.
Okay.
No podemos estar esperando una urgencia.
Board. Oh,
Connie, you got to translate that, please.
She said you need to come to a resolution quick, because they're not going to be
I'm
waiting.
sorry, no, just what we were saying.
Oh, I'm sorry.
About the LCAP, if there's any public comment.
So, the LCAP,
Yes, and then board, we can open it up. Any
So
questions?
then we're supposed to ask staff next.
Oh, sorry. Staff, are there any questions or public comment about the LCAP?
Connie?
Si hay una pregunta sobre la LCAP.
Then go.
Okay. Board members?
Nope.
I'm on the LCAP subcommittee, so we're good.
I know I've been through this process before, and I just want to say it's a lot of work, but it is a living document, so it will continue to change. So thank you so much.
Yeah, and one of the things is that a little bit different this time, this is why there's no presentation and such, is because of, we're in this end of the first year of the 3-year cycle. It's always been my practice, Jackie's right.
Connie, we need you.
That's what I was just asking, are you guys? Si van a quedar con la junta? Okay.
We should be translating as we're speaking.
Right,
Okay.
I'm coming. So it's him, it's you that starts?
It's me, yes. So normally,
Yeah.
districts can look at changing the LCAP midstream, so to speak, because it's a 3-year document.
Mira, cambiar.
I tend to have the boards kind of shy away from doing that, because if we put something in, it really does take 3 years to see if what we're doing comes to attrition, basically, right? If we're changing it every year, we're just kind of chasing our tails, right? So, so most of what you have in here is continuing from what we adopted last year for the 3-year cycle. So again, this is the end of the first-year cycle, and if you notice in there, there's like 4 or 5 columns where basically you have your metrics and you have your baseline, which is what we had at the end of last year, and then this year's year 1 outcome, and so on for 3 years. So for that part. But it does take a while, to your point, Jackie, it does take a while to get the information uploaded because it's in various different spots for that. So we appreciate that. It does take a lot of staff. There's also a component of the financial side as well that takes quite a bit, which basically shows how much we budgeted versus how much we actually spent.
And it would also be great for more public.
To be at those meetings, but they're not
Attendance.
exactly exciting meetings. but-
They aren't, but it's so important because it's a great way for them to actually give input on the metrics and what the plan even is. So I would implore, please, if you wish to be part of that process, come to our meetings.
Yeah, thank you. But then we have to end the public
Okay,
hearing.
so then we end at 7:22. And then S4, public hearing of the 2025-2026 proposed budget, including reasons for assigned and unassigned ending fund balances in excess of minimum recommended reserves. So we will go into 7:22.
Are you wanting to do a presentation on in the public hearing? No, yeah, I'm just. That's what I used to do. That's right, because we're not approving it this time. Never mind.
Okay, so in your packet, you should have the 25-26 June budget adoption. And this budget,
As I was actually telling them, they're right here, so I wasn't saying it out loud. Do you want me to actually say it out loud?
No, I just want to make sure they can hear.
No, see, I've been talking back and
Okay,
forth. That's why I said in the middle of it.
and this budget supports the LCAP that was just presented. How do I make it go forward? That would help. Okay, so for just a second, let's talk about some of the assumptions that we had to use for the 25-26 budget and some of the multi-year projection assumptions. For 25-26, the COLA was 2.30. For 26-27, 3.02, 27-28, 3.42. And then the other main items that we used were also the lottery. The unrestricted was $191 per ADA,
The restricted was $82 per ADA. CalSTRS, there's no change.
Yes, please.
I was an auctioneer in my last life. CalPERS then, CalPERS has had an interesting history, and CalPERS is the retirement system for public employees that are not teachers. And 25-26 actually shows a decrease from what it was in the current year. So in the current year, it was 27 point something, and so it's going down to 26.81, and then it begins its journey back up. Some of the other major considerations were step and column was budgeted in each of the years in next year and in the 2 out years.
Can I interrupt you for 1 second?
Please.
So can you go back to that last slide?
I don't know. Yes.
I want you guys to understand that CalPERS and STRS has gone up tremendously, right? So basically, we have almost a third of everybody's pay we're paying also on top. And that's the district share, correct?
Yes.
And then the employee also pays a share as well. So that's a significant amount. Back probably 10, 12 years ago, maybe, it was more like in the 8s and 9%.
It was actually zero at one point.
For PERS it was, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, so just wanted to bring your attention to that because that's a significant number, so.
And we don't have any control over that.
Right. Thank you for that.
Also, these numbers came from the School Services of California, the Sonoma County Office of Education, and the Governor's May Revise. That's where all of these numbers came from.
Yeah, so the hard part, just to give you a little idea, is that the first line there was a COLA and LCFF funding, is they're projecting, right? And so we rely upon, as you see at the bottom there, we rely upon some services to give us kind of the
guide,
guesstimate, basically. So we don't just, the weird thing is there's about 3 different entities that do it. So we tend to stick with kind of the more conservative, lower, or average between the 3. One thing that I would say as a guarantee is that will change. And never, we've seen it once in my career where it's gone up. Usually it's down. Remember that one year they had 11% or 8% it was during COVID?
Yeah.
But usually it always ends up being a little bit lower. And it's a little deceiving with a cost of living adjustment. You would think that that would be across the board, but remember, not everything goes up 2.3%, for example, right? So it doesn't exactly line up. You know, I mean, for example, when's the last time PG&E went up 2.3%, right? So even though it says 2.3%, it's not necessarily 2.3%. That makes sense. Net, I should say, net wise, right?
Well, and a good example of that was in the current year, 24-25, the COLA was 1.07%, but when you go through the LCFF calculator, the local control funding formula calculator, we actually received a negative 0.56% because of declining enrollment and declining ADA. So the net income of the net impact of this is in the local control funding formula. So, and not every program gets the COLA too. That we have many programs like special education and many of the other federal programs that we don't get the COLA at all. So this is really just the LCFF portion of the budget.
Yeah, a lot of people, I think the misnomer is in the public is that, well, takes, if you got 20 million this year as a district, you get 20 million plus 2.3%. It's not, that'd be better, but it's not. So so I think it's just important that you know that. It's not that you have to do anything, it's just important that you know that just because that number is what it is doesn't necessarily net to that.
Right. And where the 2.3% could be applied, it was applied in this budget and for the other 2 years as well, for those other COLAs. But those, the 3.02 and the 3.42 are probably a little high. Okay. So other considerations for the budget for the current year and multi-year projections. So step and column is included and budgeted for all years. Step and column for this district is over $200,000 each year. and that is part of what is included.
And that's automatic.
Mhm.
So we can't, we have no control over that because that's automatic.
Unless it's negotiated.
Yes.
Retirements, layoffs, and unfilled positions are all accounted for in the next year and in the out years. Negotiations for the current year nor the out years are settled. Because this district received state funding for buildings and modernization projects, the district is required to make a contribution to the routine restricted maintenance account. Which is calculated at 3% of certain general fund contributing resource expenditures. So the 3% reserve, for instance, does not match what the 3% routine restricted maintenance account 3% is, because they include different factors. There are certain things like the CalSTRS obligation that is not included in the routine restricted maintenance account calculation. Transfers to Fund 14, the deferred maintenance account, are included in the current year for 25-26 and the 2 out years. And that includes the $75,000 for the deferred maintenance and the $100,000 for the track and field replacement.
So that was what we talked about at the end of last year, and I think, was it 2 months ago? I think we talked about that with the different, that's not really the different, yes, we did not make that this last year, those contributions.
We made the $75,000 one.
But not the both.
But not the $100,000.
Right. And the $100,000, remember, we were trying to figure out what it would cost and trying to get the right amount of replacement costs for the amount that for the length that we think that field's going to last, essentially, right? And we feel like about 10 years we should have $1 million, which is pretty close.
And that's what they told us
Right.
when we got it.
Right,
And
exactly.
I think maybe Trustee Lopez White had asked if we could have it kind of like reassessed, because
We
maybe.
did. We did. I
Oh,
think I gave it last month or 2 months ago. We talked about that. It was still
Yeah.
pretty close.
Okay.
Yeah. And we're hoping that we'll have it for longer, obviously, than it has needed to. So that would be just kind of ahead of the game a little bit. Yeah. But go ahead.
Okay. Transfers to Fund 17, which is the special reserve account, are not included. And this was the $50,000 for technology, devices and infrastructure replacement, and $60,000 for the classroom furniture replacement.
And remember,
And
we
that's 3 years out, right? It's the 275 and 100,000 are included, but the 50 and 60,000 are not included for all 3 years out.
Correct.
Right. And remember
So
we
we're
talked-
making progress, is
Yes.
what you're saying, to include all of them, which makes me happy, but I
Half
still.
happy.
Yes, there's still the trend we need to go, so I'm appreciative that we're getting back to where our board policy states we should be.
Yes, and this is also the one that we talked about last time, where we really need to start doing a little bit more of an audit on whether or not the 50,000 is relevant anymore, right? Whether it's more or less, whatever. Because remember, we talked about during COVID, we kind of got thrown off our game a little bit, right? Because we had so much, we went to 101 and we had so much technology stuff. And then the classroom furniture replacement, again, how much?
Same
how
thing,
much-
once it's replaced, maybe you won't need as much.
Exactly. So we need to kind of, and we don't really have good data because of the weirdness we've been through, right? And so that's the harder part. So that's something we're going to start looking at. The other two the Fund 14 are pretty basic, right? Those are pretty set in stone as far as that goes. But the other ones are a little bit different. And we're going to work with Luis and stuff on the technology. And we've been talking about that quite frequently at admin too, about, what are we doing with that and whatever, trying to get a handle on that.
Does there need to be one technology or?
Correct, we're asking all that stuff, right?
Yep.
Is it better to do carts potentially, or, you know, checking out carts as opposed to one-to-one, you know, there's just a lot of different things that we're asking, so. But duly noted what you said there about making progress.
Then the last assumption was that in 27-28, it does include a reduction in staff due to declining enrollment. So this is talking about,
Interrupt you for that too.
please.
We did talk about there's going to be more potential layoffs due to declining enrollment. We are declining never mind, go ahead.
He's trying to steal my thunder. So we have to make certain assumptions when it comes to enrollment and attendance percentages, and then what our actual attendance is differs from what our funded attendance is. So this chart shows what we did in 24-25. So we had enrollment of 1303. Our ADA at P2, which is when we have to report and we get funded off of, was the 121184. And our funded ADA was the 121457, because that's what we had prior that gave us more money. And they use a 3 years average as one of the choices on how to calculate your funded ADA. So you'll notice across the board, the funded ADA is higher than the actual projected ADA. And the actual projected ADA for Jefferson School and Washington School is 93%, because that's what it came in at P2, and the high school is continuing at the 92%. Okay? So you're probably looking at this and thinking, wow, that is a big jump from 1303 to 1244. What happened to the kids? So, at Jefferson School, for instance, in October 24-25, which is when we take our census count, we had 487 students. In May, when I started working on all of this, their enrollment was 480. So then what we did was, if you look at the chart, you see that the 79 kindergartners that were there in May are now the first graders in 25-26, the second graders in 26-27, and so forth. So each year just bumps up one grade. And one of the things that we see happen here, for instance at Jefferson, is that for next year, we're looking at 464 students. The year after that, 454. And then the third year out, 436. And that's primarily because we've got a couple of higher numbered grade levels, like second grade, third grade, and fourth grade in the current year, when they're over 90 and they're moving out, and they're being replaced by smaller classes. Now, I will say that I'm hoping that this is the worst case scenario, right? We want the enrollment to be better. We want attendance to be better. We're going to be continuing to work on those things, but I'm hoping this is the worst case scenario for us. So our October count for the entire district was 1303, but in May, our entire count was 1262. That was a drop of 41 students from October to May. For 25-26 then, when we take each of those grade levels and bump them up one grade level across the district, we get to the 1244, which is down an additional 18 students. So then, I was looking at the enrollment projections on JES, and then I was just talking. I just switched it to Washington. Okay, so Washington, same kind of thing. In October, we had 393. In May, we had 375. And then if we bump up all of the grade levels, we get 363, 361, and 368. So it actually goes up in the third year. The high school October count was 413, and the May count was 395. Now, this is both the high school and JEH together. And then 407, 407, and 385. This is probably a little bit optimistic because it is typical for a high school to drop their enrollment but from October to May. So these estimates for 26, 27, and 27, 28, I would call optimistic, which is a rare word for me. All right, so let's talk about this one. This is the components of unrestricted ending fund balance. The estimated ending fund balance, which becomes the beginning fund balance, in 25-26 is $834,716. The estimated ending fund balance is the $780,257. Trying to follow board policy and trying to commit to that additional 7%, we're able to put aside $92,468 toward that. The assigned amount of $14,261 is unrestricted lottery, and that is money that we set aside, this district sets aside for instructional materials, and that is where a lot of things come out of to support the sites. The reserve for economic uncertainty then is the 3%, and it is the $673,573.
And if I could, remember, this is how we're setting it up right now. It doesn't mean that next year, if you decide to as Jackie had brought up before, to cut it a little bit deeper and have a more of a cushion there, that's possible, right? But as of right now, you're seeing what we have on here because we're still struggling to make the 3%. Is what we're still struggling to do.
And I have a question. Maybe I'm not understanding. So we do have that we budgeted for the 75,000 deferred maintenance and the 100,000 track
Correct.
and turf field. But under committed, it doesn't equal that $175,000. Is that because part of it is in the 3% or why?
It's separate.
It's separate. This committed amount here in the unrestricted dollars is just the 7%, well, the goal toward the 7% goal for the board.
Which would be a portion of the 175.
They're completely separate.
Different.
Okay, so the 175 for funds 14.
So it's 10% plus
Correct. Well,
these
this
other
isn't
things?
10% because.
I knew if it was 10%, it'd be 10%
Correct.
plus these other
That's
committed
correct.
items.
Yes. We don't consider what's in Fund 17 and Fund 14 to be the committed
Okay.
over and above the.
I was just thinking it would be called out, but that's fine
Well,
if
because
it's not.
they make us, the Ed Code, you can correct me, but Ed Code makes us either committed or assign it. You
Okay.
can't just, outside of the reserve for economic uncertainty, you can't
Okay.
just leave money out there.
Okay.
Not, you know what I mean? You have to put it in a category.
I was confused because it's called committed on here, but then we also call it committed money to those different
It's
accounts.
the
So that's why I was
same,
getting
yes.
confused. So thank you for clarifying.
Yep. Yeah, this is just the unrestricted,
Okay.
this is just unrestricted general fund dollars.
Okay.
So that's, and it's not, 92,000 is not much. You can see 673 is 3%, right? So that's more like 0.5%, right? But the original point is that, I'm glad you said that for clarification purposes, is that number can go up if we cut more, right? And things like that. Or if our attendance all of a sudden goes up, or our ADA goes up,
Okay.
things like that too, correct. But I think the main point is that 10% is not in it, meaning like it's not in it above the extra 7%, put it that way, 3%'s there. And going out with our current enrollment that we're projecting and our current,
ADA.
and also our current staffing, this is what we look like in the next 3. Because we can't just throw out there, we're going to cut 15 people, right? And then all of a sudden we have a ton of stuff in there. It just doesn't make, it's not realistic. So we wanted to make sure that you guys see that this is truly, if we continue what we're currently doing, what we think is going to happen, very tight, right?
Right, and so we just make the 3% just barely over. Okay? One of the things that we're required to do is identify the amount of money that we are over that is assigned, not committed, but assigned, over the 3% reserve. And so that amount of money is the $14,216 in unrestricted lottery that's set aside for instructional materials that goes away in the next 2 years, because lottery is based on our current ADA, not on funded ADA. Okay? And that is a requirement of Ed Code 42127, that we make sure that I present this to you, because the county will be checking. So the next thing that will happen is that the state will adopt their budget, and once they finish that, if there are significant changes, we'll be coming back to you in August with an updated 45-day update is what it's called. And other than that, I'm hoping that the numbers come out better in August than they're looking right now. This is hopefully the worst-case scenario, and that things are going to look better in the future. Do you have any questions?
I just appreciate that with the presentation of the attendance, that in the past, we kind of flatlined it and kept it, which we have seen that was not accurate for our district. So we were budgeting based off of a flatline attendance, and so that also did a disservice to us. So I appreciate that we're being a little more conservative in putting in some of those declining enrollments.
And just to make sure too, Krista, do we have any public comment or questions? Okay. Staff? Okay, board, any questions?
I know I'm not the board, but I think what Chris and I talk a lot about after board meetings is, and I think it's good to maybe after every presentation, if there's something maybe you'd like to see different in our, because we're all still pretty new for you guys, right? If there's stuff, I know that Jackie just mentioned the part that she liked about being a little more realistic on the enrollment. Is there a certain slides in this presentation you would like to see, maybe an additional 2 or anything like that too? Because we always want to get better.
Bar graph human. I like the color. Like, I'm such a visual learner, like it just keeps me interested. But I also do so appreciate the more conservative nature of our budget moving forward, because I felt from time to time we were too optimistic, and then it's come back to kind of bite us. So it's nice to see more of a conservative approach.
I'm rarely optimistic.
I know you're pretty
We
well. But yes, I love color and shapes. I am.
So you're saying like in the enrollment, have
Yep.
colors diagonal so you can see how it follows it?
Yes. I know, right? Oh, yes. So we will end public hearing at 7:47.
And I think it bears mentioning too, that State of California and Ed Code says that we have to have a public hearing for the budget and for the LCAP in a different meeting than we are approving it. So that's why we're only doing this and there's no action for this. We're just having a public hearing, receiving input, and then tomorrow at the next meeting we have to do the approval of that. So if you're wondering why that is, guess not.
Okay. So moving forward onto S5, consideration and possible acceptance of the Measure H Citizens Oversight Committee 2023-2024 Annual Report Executive Summary to the Board. So due to the fact that it's all staff in the audience now, staff questions, comment, board?
Can I say something? I know you're trying to keep me quiet, I got it. I guess we could use some of your assistance also. I've been unsuccessful, actually, Ms. Bunting and I have been very unsuccessful in trying to get more than 3 people on this committee. So we are shy, obviously, of quite a few people on this committee. Should be in the board policy, it's supposed to be a committee of 7, and we have
I think like 3, right?
3-ish.
Well, and only 2 attended the meeting that
Yeah,
signed off
that signed it.
on it. So I would
Correct.
just invite the community
Yes, please.
It's one meeting a year.
Right, part of the, and so anyway, so the biggest charge of the reason I mentioned this was, the biggest charge of the committee is to make sure and report back to you guys through the annual report that that the funds are being expended in the proper projects that were listed in the voters rundown. And then also, number two would be equally important, is to make sure that we're not using the money to fund any salaries. And so, I hate to say it, when you break it down, it's pretty simple on what they're supposed to do. They do not have, you guys have say on how the money's being spent and what projects are for there, but they are supposed to be the community's oversight to make sure that we're doing what we're supposed to be doing. And so, yes, unfortunately, but you can see there's 4 names on there, and there's 3 vacancies. However, we only had 2 at the last meeting, so we wanted to get something to you at that point. It's technically probably not a quorum, but, what's that? They've all reviewed it, yeah, they just haven't signed, a couple of them haven't signed it. But anyway. So you guys are supposed to just accept it. You don't have to approve it, you accept it, because part of it would also be the bond oversight audit. You did that last month for that, and that's also what they look at.
So do we have a motion to accept?
Motion to accept.
Okay, by trustee Damian, do I have a second?
I'll second the motion.
Okay, trustee Zekowitz. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Trustee Lopez White. Okay, so now moving on to S6, consideration and possible approval of resolutions 225-21 and 225-22, authorizing filing of application or applications for state allocation board administered programs for the Cloverdale Unified School District.
Yeah, I can take this one, Chris. So, but you can correct me if I do it wrong. As it says in there in your background information, the passing of Prop 2 requires that you have a facility master plan in order for us to be able to apply for any sort of funding that we possibly could apply for. So we have already done the, just said it, the master plan, thank you. And so you're basically just doing a resolution that says as such.
Move to approve Resolution 225-21 and 225-22, authorizing filing of applications for state allocation board administered programs for the CUSD for CUSD.
I have a motion to approve from trustee Garrison. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, trustee O'Garion, second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, trustee Lopez White. Since we tabled S7, we're now on to T, future agenda items. Are there any items that anyone would like to add to
Well,
our next?
The South Cloverdale property, I know last time we spoke, we talked about Calistoga, remember, and what they were doing with their property. I haven't reached out to them yet, being it was June, right,
Yeah.
May and June. So my plan is to get some more information and bring that to you guys. So I hope to have it in July. If I don't, it's not, obviously, has to happen emergent-wise, but I am still working on that, so.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Meanwhile, though, I don't know if we talked about it last time, but they did do the fire mitigation out there. The Cloverdale Fire Department did do that, so, yeah.
Okay, well, if there are no other future agenda items, future board meeting dates, we have one tomorrow, June 18th at 6 p.m. We have one July 9th at 6 p.m., August 13th at 6, as well as September 10th at 6 p.m. And do I have a motion to adjourn at 7:53?
I motion to adjourn at 7:53.
Okay, trustee Garrison, a second.
I'll second the motion.
Trustee Zekowitz, no preferential. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. None opposed, and trustee Lopez White is absent. Okay, thank you guys to see.